What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the fourth instalment of Dunk Digest podcast. I really hope you're enjoying them so far. And today we're going to be talking about plyos versus weights. It was actually something that was recommended by someone in the comments on like the last episode or a couple episodes ago. So thank you for that suggestion. If you want to leave any more suggestions, then just leave them in the comments. And yeah, thank you for all the support you've been showing so far. We're nearly at 50 subscribers, so keep that going. And yeah, so I'm going to hand it over. Well, first let's introduce Cammy and Pete we got here today. I think Pete's frozen, but oh, there we go.
Yeah, so we can talk about kind of the specific needs, I guess, for when you're kind of starting out, I guess. So there's actually some research. I think it was J. Boomerang that actually did this research. I think it was a couple of years ago that he published this paper, but it was basically about kind of force velocity profiling. So the kind of idea of the paper was that you're either kind of velocity deficient or force deficient. So if it's velocity, that's stuff like your max velocity sprinting, and you're kind of more elastic, faster things. And then if it's force deficient, I'm pretty sure it's more like strength levels and kind of like, I guess, like standing vertical jumps and like lunge jumps and those type of things. So it's kind of like that idea of it as well. So it's kind of finding out the specific needs as well.
Yeah, definitely. Like, obviously, this question could be quite broad. So, obviously, what works for one person isn't going to work for another one. So, that's probably like quite an important thing to start when you're sort of looking at it.
Yeah.
How did you guys sort of find out? What you sort of might need to work on. How did that sort of start?
So if you're starting out, I guess I'd say the best thing to do is just kind of jump. Like in my opinion, just take like a year or two where you just kind of focus on jumping and building at least like a good base before you kind of start to go to any kind of strength type stimulus. That's kind of like my opinion on it, I guess. But I guess some people would maybe make an argument saying like, oh, you should kind of do a combination of like weights and jumping from the get go. But my opinion's more just build a base up first and kind of put all your kind of points into basically just kind of jumping.
Yeah, I'd say the exact same thing, to be honest. Like, to start off jumping, and then you eventually learn more about your body at that point. Like maybe after a year, as Cammy said. So if you realize that you're like very quick but not as strong, then you know you just have to hit the weights, and if it's the other way around, just work on speed.
Yeah, I think as well, like strength levels, I don't think actually matter as much as a lot of people kind of put on them, I guess, because you see people like T Dub, like he never touched weights, I'm pretty sure, and he's like one of the best jumpers of like all time. Like, and there's
Yeah,
a lot of other
he's
examples of
never
that as
lift
well.
weights.
Yeah,
Yeah, like Pete, this is like kind of good for you because you jumped an absolute ton, didn't you? And then recently, like especially over the winter, you've just been like lifting like crazy.
Yeah, so I just started off pretty much just jumping every day non-stop. And then eventually I got jumper's knee. So guys, just stay away from jumping 24/7. Maybe jump twice a week at most. Then I text Isaiah, and then he put me on the training, and he just helped me fix my knees up. Basically, just rest them and do isometrics and all that stuff. Then eventually I moved on to lifting weights. I started like last winter. That's when I started taking it very seriously, doing stuff like clean pulls, back squats, front squats, deadlifts, all those. Because at the time I was very quick. I was like a speed 2-foot jumper, if that makes any sense.
yeah,
But I wasn't that strong in the weight room at all. So when I started lifting weights, when I went into strength phase, it kind of slowed me down for a bit. But then my body kind of got used to it, and now I'm just jumping as high as ever, to be honest.
right. So I think like another thing as well is like we didn't actually clarify this at the start, but it was basically what plyos are. So plyometrics was basically devised by Russians, I think in like the 50s and 60s, and I think it was by, I can't remember the guy's name. It begins with a Y. I'm sure someone will know it in the comments, but I can't remember his name. But it was some Russian guy, and he basically classified a plyometric exercise as anything with a ground contact time of less than 250 milliseconds. So it's basically something that's really fast, and that's kind of one of my kind of pet peeves within, I guess, kind of like the Instagram kind of fitness community is like they'll kind of classify like a box jump as plyometrics when it's not. So a plyometric, something like a depth jump or maybe like bounds and some other exercises that kind of fall under that category, whereas your box jumps are more just like jump training basically. So then onto like plyometrics, we'd actually recommend. I'd say if you're starting out, just kind of focus on low rimming and don't focus on plyometrics. And I think as well, it definitely depends on the type of jump you are. I think for 1 foot, plyometrics are probably more valuable, whereas for 2 foot, they might not be as valuable. I'm not sure about maybe your guys' experience with plyometrics as well, but that would be interesting.
Yeah, when I first started jumping, I was just doing a load of low rim, and I think that's honestly the best type of plyometric out there. Because other than just doing plyometrics and jumping, you're actually working on finishing like the dunk and all the different movements of the dunks that you want to do. But the plyometrics that I used to do is box jumps. Cammy's gonna hate me for saying that. I used to just do a load of box jump. I used to try to jump on the back of the car and just random stuff like. Then moved on to bounds and all that stuff. But honestly, I think the best is just low rimming, flat out, all day.
Yeah. I think like I've found that like depth jumps have worked really well for me. Like I think I had a cycle a few months ago where I PR'd by like 3 inches on my like max vertical jump, and like I was doing a lot of depth jumps in that cycle, so I think that really kind of helped me.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I could go back, I'd probably just like low rim a load more. But yeah, I feel like depth jumps help me as well, because one thing I struggle with is sort of spending too much time on the ground, and I feel like depth jumps can help that a bit as well. And going back to that thing you're talking about the Russians, I think didn't they their high jump team like years ago, they'd get pushed around in wheelchairs, didn't they, or something like that?
Yeah. For the twitch fiber, the fast muscle twitch fibers, isn't it, to keep them?
Yeah, apparently they didn't walk, they just got pushed around in wheelchairs apart from when they were training.
I've never heard that before. That's quite funny, actually.
I can't remember where I saw it now, but yeah, I saw it
It's
somewhere.
on YouTube video or something.
Yeah, probably some stupid, yeah.
Yeah, so then I think as well, so if you wanted to do a lot more of these, I guess, like intense plyometrics that are very kind of fast and quite strenuous on the knees, you want to also kind of manage your tendon kind of load as well.
Yeah.
So I guess it also depends if you've had like a history of knee pain. Like I've had a history of knee pain, so for me it would make sense to do like slow strength stuff. So it's a lot of the stuff that THP kind of programs in is like slow strength if you're doing kind of this more intense stuff. And then also like isometrics as well, like just daily isometrics. That's kind of the way that you'd manage the load if you have lots of reps.
Yeah, for me, isometrics helped so much, to be honest. My knees, I remember sometimes I just wouldn't be able to walk up the stairs or anything. Like my knees were absolutely destroyed. But once I started like kind of resting them and maybe jumping once or twice a week for like a certain amount of reps, and I was just keeping track on it, writing down like the pain limit, like what is it, like 1 to 10, 1 to 10 or 1 to 5, depending on the pain, and just doing a shitload of isometrics. It was just way better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest, I've never actually had knee pain while I've been on THP, which is, I guess, is a good thing. But so I've never actually did isometrics when I had knee pain. So I'm gonna be honest, I do sometimes skip them just because I'm often like, I haven't had pain in like so long. So I will be honest, I'm not the most strict on them, but you know, if I do feel any type of pain or if I do jump a lot, then I'll always do them.
Yeah, I think as well, like with sprinting, that's kind of like a plyometric as well, because it's very short ground contact times. Like I think for me, like it's less than like 90 milliseconds, which is pretty quick. So that's kind of something that you can use as well. I found sprints to be like really good for just helping increase like my vertical jump. I think as well, like sprints are really good for kind of potentiating for good jump days for me anyway. Like I had one of my best jump days last year, like straight after doing sprints. So I think that helped kind of potentiate for that.
Yeah. I think most of it just, I think it's based on like muscle memory and what you actually do in the gym and what you can carry out from the gym onto the court while you're dunking.
So another thing with weight training is you kind of want to get comfortable having like a little bit of a base before you start, because just in my personal experience, like I did a program. I'm gonna say it was bounce git. I'm not gonna I'm not gonna bash it like I did another program in the other one, because it was a decent program. But yeah, I sort of went into it without any prior knowledge or reps of doing it, like I had, like I have now. So when I did it, I didn't really get the most out of it, because one, I didn't really know how to do it properly, and two, that kind of caused me not to push myself as much as I could have, because I would have been a bit more naive to the weight or whatever. But now obviously I just got spotters, so I just send it no matter what the weight, really. But yeah, so getting comfortable with it can definitely help a lot, and that can help prevent injuries, because you can just get injured just like you can do in Plyos. So it can be quite important to do.
Yeah, I think that brings us back to kind of like the Russian research that they conducted in like the 60s. One of their kind of recommendations for plyometrics was, I think it was either 1.5 or 2 times body weight is what you'd want for like a squat. And that's kind of just so you can kind of deal with the forces that you'll go through when you're doing something like a depth jump, especially if you're doing it from like a higher height. Like I think in the research they went up to like, I think like 1 meter 20, like a 1 meter 20 box, like drop to the ground and then rebounding with like under 250 milliseconds, which is just kind of like crazy. Like that's a lot of load.
Yeah. I remember my first ever program was it starts with a V, ends with a shock. I think most dunkers have gone through that program. It was a really basic one as well, to be honest, easy enough to follow along, but there was just too much jumping going on, and it's just not good for your knees at all. There was like no videos telling you how to do it properly and stuff. I think someone just sent me a few screenshots actually of just a few of the workouts, and I was doing that for ages. I'm not gonna lie. That's what happened. So then I pretty much just like had to go back and forth from YouTube videos, seeing how, oh my god, how am I gonna do this? How am I gonna do this? I'd done that so much while jumping every day, and my knees just gave in. So that's why I think it's just find a program that suits you and exactly what you want. Make sure that when you sign up like with a program, say like THP, they have like video links, so you can see exactly how to do the movement correctly, so you won't get injured. And when you're dunking, you don't want to get injured at all. So like, it's useful if you know exactly what you're doing and just get comfortable with that program.
Yeah, I think that's similar with me. I feel like I've mentioned this on the podcast before, but like I started out, I didn't really know what I was doing, and I had this like plyometric program that wasn't really plyometrics, but it was more like jump training, but it was just labeled plyometrics, and I got it through like it was basically like PE at school. Like I took higher PE, which in Scotland is like, I don't know, maybe the equivalent to something like APP or something like that. I don't know in America, but I took PE in high school and I got this plyometric program. So I followed that along and I just kind of bumped the intensity up like each week. And I worked up to like, I want to say it was 4 sets of like 20 reps on like box jumps. And it was like a jump circuit. So there was like box jumps, lateral hurdle hops, some like speed ladder stuff as well. And then there was a few other things, but I can't remember what those were. And then on top of that, I did like jump every day. So I did this plyometric program 3 times a week and then jumped every day on top of that. That just led me to like a lot of knee pain, but that's kind of like my experience, I guess, in the past with it. I think probably hitting weights at that point would have been maybe a good idea, but I still think at the end of the day, it's better to just kind of focus on like jumping specifically and building that base, as I kind of mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't really change much about how I got into weights, but I would definitely change how I got into jumping. I got into it quite late, but I wish I would have just done loads more low rim. But in terms of like getting into weights, I mean, I'm pretty happy. I started at a decent age, so there's not really much I would change about that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think if I was like starting out again, I'd want to kind of just focus like specifically just on jumping, as I kind of mentioned, and just focus on that for like a year straight and then kind of get into weights. And that's kind of what I did anyway. But I kind of got injured through the plyometrics and that kind of led me down a route of getting injured. So
I'm kind of happy I always started off, to be honest, like just jumping a lot. And even though that brought on knee pain and stuff, I kind of learned from it. Now I'm just in a proper program right now. I'm just kind of listening to my body and all this. Um, I learned how to deal with knee pain. So like you kind of learn from your mistakes when you first start off jumping. So it's good and it's bad to be jumping every day. I wouldn't say every day, maybe like 2 or 3 times a week. Just literally just focus on technique, your block step, your penultimate, all that, and work on like the speed. As I think Nathan said this in the last podcast or the one before, the second one. He was saying that he started off his run up quicker and then he slowed down during the end. Just think about speeding up throughout your takeoff or run up.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think we should talk about like the actual title, which is the plyo versus weights as well. So
Yeah.
obviously it's kind of something that's dependent on what you need, as we mentioned before at the start. But basically, like you'll want to kind of program to do like strength, then you can kind of program to do kind of power stuff as well. Then you'll program to do your kind of elastic stuff and your more explosive stuff.
Yeah, I don't. It's a bit difficult because obviously you can't really give like a which is better because that's just impossible to say. But you kind of like Cammy said, you just have to look at yourself. Yeah, just try reach out to people and tell them your background if you can't work it out yourself. But generally, you can kind of work out what you need. I mean, especially if you're young, it's a lot easier. But especially if you're young, just lower him, to be honest with you, until you get to the age of like 17, 18. Just getting loads of technique work, it'll help you in the long run. So
yeah, I agree with that. Just keep on lowering until you're like 17, 18, as Nathan said, and then maybe like dibble dabble here and there with weights. See really kind of what fits your own body. Like everyone's different.
Yeah. But I think that's about it for this part of the podcast. Going to move on to dunk reviews now.
Yeah, definitely. So if I share my screen right there, can you see that?
That's it.
Yep. So the first one we've got is from N_Larson34. You can see it on the screen right there. Let's see what he's got.
Yeah, he's 5'9" as well.
Yeah.
5'9".
Yeah, crazy.
That's crazy.
Jeez.
His technique is on point.
Yeah,
that
nice.
transfer was so nice.
Yeah. I like the way he kept the ball close as well to like his underfoot, like underneath his foot, like his hamstring.
Yeah.
He's got quite a nice arm swing as well.
Because if you guys look at like Chris Staples, when he's doing like a 360 BTL, you can see how close he keeps the ball to his hamstring, like just for a quicker transfer.
Have you seen Chris Staples' new YouTube? Oh, not Chris Staples' video, but he was in it with AJ Lepre. Have you seen that, where he's starting to learn new dunks?
Oh yeah.
And the most recent one where he's trying to East Bay.
Yeah.
That's kind of what he's talking about, trying to keep it close. That was what he was getting it. He was keeping it kind of far away sometimes though. But in general, it's pretty good. I do like that series, I must admit. Right, so here we've got another one from Rimhand Dunker, which is an elbow, which on a portable rim, that takes some balls to do. That's quite scary.
Very dangerous. Very dangerous.
I remember the first time I tried to like honey dip on like my hoop at home. I didn't know whether or not like my forearm would be too long for the hoop. Like it felt really weird doing it. I felt like I was gonna punch the back rim, but then when I did it, obviously I didn't. But it just feels weird when you first do it.
I remember when I first started doing that. Like I put my elbow in the rim, and then I just like I pulled out and I just scraped my whole hand off. I was so painful. I'm like, I'm never doing that again.
Yeah, I think I've only done it once because I had fairly the same experience, but I wouldn't hang on my portable rim, that's for sure, because I haven't got anything in the base of it, so that's coming down with me.
Yeah, I've never actually tried to honey dip before.
Like
Like,
imagine with
one-
one foot, that'd be quite scary, a speed jumper.
Yeah. But I think
Only-
people like Bionic Brooks and Slinks does it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd be way too scared.
And we
Yeah.
took part in a product like shin pads for like your elbow when you do it.
Yeah, or you could just use a shooting sleeve that have that padding in. They have padding on the elbow, don't they? You could just like turn it around to like your forearm.
Yeah, you could
Yeah.
put like 5 on.
Mm.
That's what Justin Darlington used to do.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he did used to wear a sleeve. Now you mention it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So next up, we've got Zach Dunks over the top of someone. Well, he told me that he only fell because he tried to hang on it. So yeah, that was actually quite nice to be fair.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
made that clean, yeah. That was nice. And
That's
that is
quite scary,
that is a
actually.
scary dunk. Yeah.
Yeah. Especially because he's not like getting his like head at the rim. Like that's quite like
Yeah.
take some bravery to try that. Right. So the next one. Oh, 360
Hey.
windmill.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah,
one.
that was nice.
Yeah,
That's a
maybe
tough
just
dunk
work
as well.
on, like work on the extension, but 360
Yeah.
windmills, 360 windmill. So
Yeah.
I think he just needs to work on his block foot. Maybe
Mm.
twisting it a bit more.
yeah,
It's been a bit earlier as well, but that's a tough dunk.
Yeah, I'll reference what Chris Staples did again to AJ when he's learned to 360. He was like, as soon as he's like planting and his feet are like coming off the ground, he's already got his eyes on the rim. Like
Yeah, he twists his torso before anything else.
yeah, like as soon as he gets in the air, his eyes are just on the rim, like just
Yeah.
twisting so quick. Which is something personally I do wrong as well. Which I might try that tomorrow, but I tried to like jump and twist and it's quite slow, so I might try that out to be fair. And he's also got this one, which is the poster. Oh, that's
Hey,
nice.
that one's nice.
That looks even better when the defender's arm kind of like looks like it's like almost knocking you out.
Yeah, that's with the left as well.
Yeah,
All his other dunks have been. Oh, the one he jumped over someone was with the left as well. Yeah,
mm.
and then the 360 windmill was with his right. That's weird.
Yeah.
yeah,
That's
I like
crazy.
when they do like a short, like a really short hang after postering someone. I feel like it makes it look so much better.
Yeah,
Like we try like rip the rim down.
it's just way
Yeah.
more aggressive.
Yeah, that's nice. Right, thank you very much for that submission. On to the next person. So let's go with one more. I'm gonna close my eyes. Who is it? Joe Dunks. For the podcast. Here we go. Ooh, nice
Hey,
two-hander.
that's nice.
His first two-hander as well. Off two.
I think once you start getting two-handers clean, all the other dunks will come naturally if you've low rims in the past. Like
yeah,
for me, like the two-handers were the hardest to get. Like I think it was literally a week after I got my first two-hander on 9-foot. I was doing windmills like a week later.
Yeah, two-handers are quite difficult for me to be fair as well, because my instinct is always to transfer to one.
Yeah, like sometimes if the lob is bad, instead of catching it with two, you just kind of like flick it up and try to catch it with the other hand.
Yes.
That's
Yeah,
a bit
like
weird.
sometimes I've had like dunks where I've like, well, not dunks because I hadn't actually been able to finish it, but I've like caught it. Like I've come from like an angle, but it's the lob's been at like the left side of the backboard, and I'm like reaching all the way to the left, and then I'm trying to
Yeah.
bring it back around, and that's
Yeah.
like super hard. I don't think I've ever finished one like that, just because that's super hard. But
His technique is very good as well.
yeah,
I think maybe if he just ran up a bit quicker at the end, or maybe got a bit more of a run up, he'd be jumping a lot higher.
yeah, I lobbed from further back maybe.
Yeah, that's a nice dunk though.
Yeah, but still, that was nice. Yeah. Right, so that's all we're going to go through for today's episode, and then we'll save them for the next one. The next time we review dunks. just so we got some for the next one. But yeah, thank you very much for everyone who submitted. You obviously saw your name on the side there. If you have already submitted, you haven't been in yet, but we're not neglecting you. This isn't a favoritism thing. We've literally just randomly going through them. But yeah, we'll get to you, when we get to you. So again, thank you very much for sending them in. Is there anything else you guys want to expand on what we've said so far?
I think that's it.
Just keep on sending in dunk videos and we'll review them.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
You just screwed all our DMs now, Pete. Thank you. No, only the loyal ones will be stayed till here again.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Let's get to 15 likes, and we're nearly at 50 subscribers. I think we're at 46 at the time of recording, so hopefully we'll be there soon, and then on to 100, and let's keep going, keep growing it. Share it on your story. We'll repost every one. Tag us both in it. Oh, not both. There's 3 of us here. Tag all 3 of us in it. And yeah, just keep sharing it about with your friends. Yeah, thank you very much for watching, and hopefully we'll see you in the next one.